Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we're going to be reviewing the two big games which took place over the weekend, early in the season, but the games are coming thick and fast, and we had two massive results. Spurs running away 2-0 winners over Manchester United, and of course, Man City nicking one past Newcastle, that game ending 1-0. Now, joining me this evening to review these two games, we have returning to the podcast, Sugar Belly.
Greetings, viewers and subscribers. Glad to be back.
We also have returning Sir Cole himself.
Greetings,
Yes, gents, now we saw two big games over the weekend. We're going to start by looking at the Spurs game. Spurs running away 2-0 winners over Manchester United. Sugar Belly, I'll start with you. I mean, early in the season, but big result. How did you see that one?
Very big result, I think, for Postecoglou in his second game here. We know they draw the first game, but going into this Man Utd game, I think a lot of people had them written off, so to speak, and they really turned up and played Man Utd off the park. It was a very exciting game, however. I think Man Utd dominated for the first, maybe 20, 30 minutes, but Spurs really took it from there and turned it up a notch. So, brilliant goals there from Sarr, who also I think was very excellent in that midfield. He made Casemiro seem like he wasn't there, basically. Both him and Bissouma. I think Bissouma, a lot of people after last season was wondering what was to become of him, but he has really turned out this season, and Spurs, with their new look, new style, playing exciting football, and it was a very big victory.
Yeah, definitely a renewed Spurs team, under new management, Kaneless as well, and it seems as if the team is galvanizing under this new coach. And I mean, as you mentioned, it seems as if Spurs won that midfield battle, the likes of Bruno, Casemiro, limited impact on the game. Sir Cole, how did you see it though? Being a Man U fan yourself, and I know you're glued to your TV set watching this one.
Well, it was a surprise to me as well, because I really didn't expect even a Spurs win, but really not by 2 goals. I would have expected Man U to have at least gotten on the score sheet as well. But I just say, playing without Harry Kane, the team has really surprised, I think, most persons, because, team without Kane, son going up in age, you figure, say, all right, you'll probably be off the hook, or, coming with a new manager, who probably have a chance of beating Spurs. But 2-0, I mean, it was a really well-played game by Spurs. What can I say? We were all playing.
I tell you. But I mean, looking at it from a more tactical approach, though, Sugar Belly, I mean, was this the right tactical approach for Man U with Rashford, playing the number 9 role again? And we saw that he had a fairly poor game in the first fixture against Wolves, and, that persistent with Rashford in that number 9. Is he best suited for the 9, or he's better on the flank, and then you find someone to fill that gap up front from a Manchester United perspective?
Going into the second game, I could say that Ten Hag's hand was forced, basically because Martial unavailable, the new signing Højlund also unavailable. So I guess he thought he had no other option than to stick Rashford up top. We saw in the first game where they weren't great. Garnacho wasn't great. Once again, both he and Anthony especially Anthony seems to be a very wasteful player. Mason Mount once again was pulled early. He didn't show much. So Ten Hag has it really. He has a lot to figure out right now. I think.
Sugar Belly, you seem to be jumping on the Mount train there,
Not necessarily, but it's his second game, and it's his second. It's the same effect he had on both games. He was basically non-existent for most parts. So,
well, a new player, he might take some time to bed into the new system, so to speak, coming from a rather poor Chelsea as well. Some of that rust may still be on him, and he might take some time to get fully acclimated to the rigors and the demands of a Manchester United. But Sir Cole, I mean, Rashford seemed to be the focal point, but not much production coming from him. What could Ten Hag have done differently? I mean,
Personally, I don't think it's a matter of the player, really. I think it's more the tactics being used, because we have seen Rashford playing that position before and, play well, have an impact on the game. I don't think putting in another player in his position would necessarily have yielded but different results. It's a matter of the tactics being used at the time, and the tactics really weren't effective for the game and were very limited as well versus Wolves in the first game. So as was pointed out earlier, his hand is really being forced because he really is the best nine option in the absence of the person who we brought in to play the position, Holland and Marshall also being out. So you could put him on the wing, but then who do you put up top? Do you play Sancho? Do you play Marshall?
yeah, but in pre-season,
Play...
Sancho was being employed in that role as well. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure why
we have
you would have
seen
pre-season.
fine. Pre-season, many of the top players were really, still on vacation. They really don't play many of those pre-season games. So as the senior player, will have been charged with responsibility at that time. But coming to these games, I believe last season Sancho actually played a game or two up top, but clearly has not really gotten the coach's nod to be the best option available at this time.
But the question is then, all right, having played poorly versus Wolves Sugar Belly and now suffering another defeat or a defeat against Spurs, does Ten Hag put Rashford up front again for a third successive game and hope for a different result? What say you? I mean, looking forward.
Well, looking forward, I think he will ring in some changes, but once again, I think the personnel at this time is very limited. So, is either the new signing will be available this weekend, which I expect going forward. So, we might see Rashford featuring back on his favorite left. So, that's where he scored the majority of the goals in his career. So, I guess that's in Rashford's mind, probably that's the best position for him. But even so, he got his chances on the weekend and he didn't finish. So that's one area the Manchester United need to work on. I think Bruno also got a header
Yeah.
and he failed to score. So those are some glaring issues there
So
for
it's not a case
Manchester
where
United.
Manu is not creating then Sugar Belly. Chances are being created, but failing to take the chance, it seems to be the
Yes.
issue.
And that's a common thing in football. We've seen it over the weekend heavily where teams be dominant, get chances, but
But we
end
couldn't
up
really
getting
say
scored
Manu
on.
was dominant in this game, Sugar Belly. Nor in the Wolves
Well,
game either. Some may say they luckily escaped in that Wolves game. So they weren't dominant in the Wolves game. Versus Spurs now, they ended up losing. I mean, something need to change for that third game coming up quick and fast.
definitely. Personally, I also think that the midfield is one area where since the recruitment of Mount, I think Ten Hag hasn't really found that chemistry there just yet. So I expect some changes there, whether he bring in Ericsson and put Mason Mount on the right hand side in place of Anthony or something of the sort. So
Interesting thoughts
because
there.
definitely because I think that's an area where Mount can excel, seeing that he has been struggling in this midfield role. So why not throw him back out on that right hand side where we saw him excel at Derby and in his earlier days at Chelsea. So maybe that's one thing for Ten Hag to consider going into the
Well,
weekend's football.
definitely food for thought for sure. What say you there, Sir Cole? I mean, changes for the third game coming up. I mean, win one, lose one now.
I think it is too early to be ringing in the alarm bells. To first they pop the panic button to say, well, then something is definitely wrong. Mind you, it's a very organized Spurs team, and maybe further on in the season we can appreciate why Man U may have lost to a Spurs. Many persons last season wouldn't have seen Newcastle finishing so highly. And a bad result against Newcastle, personally, would have been very critical of such results, only to in the end realize that Castle really were that.
So are you saying we should look out for Spurs then, Sir Cole? Top four?
No, man, no. I'm not saying that. It's very early days. I'm just saying, let's not be too hasty in coming to a conclusion yet as to the if the team was good or not, or if things need to be changed. It is still early, just 2 weeks gone of 38. So let's just wait and see. Personally, really, Mason Mount, I was very skeptical as to why this pursuit of Mason Mount. I did not see
England international there, Sir Cole. Big England international.
I know, but he wasn't a player that I think would really change how Man U played, because I think we already have Bruno to supply what Mount is coming to supply. So if you're going to play him deeper, then we're going to lose out on the defensive end, I think. But poor result, we just have to rebound from it.
Have to move on. But from a Spurs point of view, I mean, we've been talking about Man U, but Spurs is the team who actually won this game. And so what did we see from them tactically? This new system seemed to be allowing the likes of Maddison, another England international, to be really excelling in that attacking midfield role, it seems.
Well, clearly, the coach had done his homework on Man U. We see where the right wing back for Spurs, Royal, was he played well in the first game. He scored in the first game, yet still did not start in this game. So clearly must have been a reason why
defensive
why that
agility
change was made, and clearly it has borne food for them. So the manager has done his homework. You have to give him his credit, and so far what they're doing is working. Maybe it didn't work as well against Brentford when they draw 2-2, but they got this one right.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it seemed to be a back three there, Sugar Belly, and two wing backs. And, they're getting into some really good position. I believe Porro even hit the upright during the course of this game.
Definitely, I think his inclusion was one really the game changer in the tactics, because he's a more direct attacking fullback as opposed to Emerson Royal. So going forward into this game, Maddison playing in the hole was doing an excellent job linking up play with Son and Kulusevski. I think Richarlison, albeit he's not that fancy type of striker.
I believe Spurs need a 9 as well. Much like Man U, Spurs seem to need a number 9. I don't think Richarlison is cutting it. How many goals have he scored for Spurs now? About 2 or 3 goals? Since he moved from Everton a year ago?
It's definitely just a handful. So even that, Spurs still need to continue on this trend where they're not sure the specific individual where the goal is going to come from, but share the goals across the team and continue being this excellent unit that they turned up and showed us that they were on Saturday.
Yes, definitely a great result, I must say, for the Spurs and for the Spurs fans, in front of their home crowd, and their season now is up and running, a win and a draw. A decent start, I must say, to life under their new coach, and they're looking to push forward. But we move to the next big game, early in the season, but these games are huge, Newcastle taking on Man City, and we saw Man City coming away with a 1-0 victory. Myself had predicted a draw, but it was not to be. It was City who came out on top. Sugar Belly, talk to us about this one. It was a very tactical game, I would say. How did you see it?
Definitely. Going into this game, I had my doubts over Man City because of the recent injury to KDB, and also how very well Newcastle played last week. So I was a bit concerned for City going into this game, but I think they showed quality. Even though I think with Kovacic in their midfield, they are more lateral team now, as opposed to having a Gundogan who
Forward
would provide
balls.
some threat on goal.
Mm.
I think City were going to struggle, but they showed once again that they're the best team in England. So I think they dominated Newcastle in the midfield once again, as they do most teams in the league. They took Newcastle to school basically in the big boys club because Newcastle Newcastle lacked certain bite, which we saw in the first game from the Aston Villa. I think they were dull a bit going forward. Um, I think they're a bit cagey, so to speak, because maybe they were concerned about exposing themselves to that City threat. Because we see the chances were slim for Erling Haaland. It was Alvarez who actually popped up and scored an excellent goal. So it was a well controlled game by City and very, very good win for City going into this early
Yes,
fixture.
as you say, this was a real acid test for Newcastle, and I was expecting them honestly to try and put the sword, take the game to City and be a bit more pragmatic and a bit more direct in their approach. But it was a more cagey approach from Eddie Howe, which somewhat surprised me. And I thought from they took that approach, then it's very unlikely they would have gotten anything from this game. I wanted a more attacking threat from Newcastle, but it was not to be. As you mentioned, the big boys club, you can't really approach these games looking to come away with a point. You have to go with the intentions of getting a win. And I just thought, as you mentioned, the directness, especially from the wingers, Almiron, each time he got half a space or somewhat of a space, rather than running directly at goal, it was always cutting back. And I thought that just played into the hands of Man City. But Sir Cole, how did you see this one? What was Newcastle up to the standards you anticipated?
Well, as earlier pointed out a while ago, that Man City is the best team in England. However, I would just like to extend that they are the top team in Europe. And possibly when they go to the World Club Championship, possibly be the best team in the world as well. So for Newcastle to have come away with a 1-0 loss is really no disgrace to them. They actually did very well, I think. It was a very tight game. Even though Man City came away with the win, I really wouldn't say that Newcastle was really ball off the park. They gave a good account of themselves. They were able to keep Haaland at bay, and they were defeated really by a very good strike from the youngster, who it's a very well taken goal. So they can take her from this. Mind you, we may have overestimated Newcastle based on their results the first week, having
Yes.
beaten Aston Villa by that wide margin to have raised eyebrows. So we may have overestimated Newcastle a bit, but coming out of this game, I don't think they have any reason to hang their heads. They came away with a loss, but it's still a positive look going forward. Not many teams will lose 1-0 to Man City. That's for sure.
Yes, yeah, I mean, yeah, they can take some positives from the game, but personally, with a team like Newcastle, with the spending they've done and the sort of team Eddie Howe has put together, I mean, at some point, if you want to be successful and maintain a top four status or even push for a title, you have to take the game to City. To me, it was just too cagey from Newcastle. You're not gonna beat City playing
Well,
this way.
Man City is one club of the other 19 that you will play. So
No, but you have to beat the team that come in front of your circle. I mean, to
fine,
me,
and
to me, it's
some
better you lose 2-0 going for a win than lose 1-0. You still end up with 0 points.
well, that is your opinion of it, right? Really, actually, if it was a tournament, we would say yes, it was a okay result because goal difference can play a part. If you look at the teams now, going looking towards week 38, we have seen where the league has been decided at before by goal difference. So it doesn't make sense to risk um, going for the 3 points and then well,
Yes,
try and
man.
end up
Go
with
for early out in the season, man. Go for the 3 points. You can't
points.
be taking a
Maybe
cagey approach.
I
You
think a
still
draw.
lose. You still end up
I think
lose.
I think Newcastle would have been okay with a draw. And truth be told, many teams will underestimate Newcastle still and go for the win, probably to their own detriment because of the lack of name of Newcastle. Persons are teams will tend to be more cagey against Man City, all right, and then be more open to playing Newcastle, which will likely expose them for Newcastle to exploit. So not a bad result in my book. I don't think the coach will be, you know, too disheartened by a 1-0 loss to the best team in Europe.
I thought Man City was ripe for the picking, Sugar Belly. No KDB, Bernardo Silva out, exploits in Europe, confidence flowing through the Newcastle team, scoring what 5 goals in their first game. I mean, City was ripe for the picking. I thought this is an opportunity that Eddie Howe made slip. He should have been a bit more
Definitely.
pragmatic, a bit more direct, and take the game to City. But it is what it is. But
So
from a tactic, yeah,
coaching is a matter of you're wrong if you do, basically wrong if you don't. Should they have gone for a more open game,
I believe go
just
for the win. And if you
three,
end
three
up
or
lose,
four
you
goals,
still end up with zero
then
points. Rather
would
than
have been
take draw, you go for
very
a draw,
critical
you
then.
still lose.
Would have been very critical then to say, oh, you can't play that way against the big boys.
No,
So
I thought sometimes you just have to risk it. And I thought this was one of those situations where you had a prime opportunity to take a risk. You had the attacking, flair, the attacking players at your disposal, which you could throw on Barnes, Almiron, Garden, Wilson, Isaac. I thought when Newcastle was down 1-0 and Wilson was coming into the game, I thought he would have left Isaacs on the field. But it was Isaac for Wilson. I'm like, you're taking off a potential goal scorer and you're replacing him with someone who isn't necessarily used to scoring goals with when you brought on the likes of Anderson. I thought he should have kept Wilson on, maybe switch Isaac to one of the flanks. But he took Isaac off. I was like, okay, here we go. This is where, you're saving face. I thought he got that tactic wrong, to be honest. And, better changes could have proved otherwise because City did come up against, a decent playing Newcastle team. You could see exactly what Newcastle was trying. They were pressing high. They created one or two half chances, but nothing too clear cut. And I thought having the attacking players on the field could have unlocked this Man City defense, which I don't think is that airtight. Granted, they are yet to concede, but they played what Burnley, recently promoted Burnley. This was a prime opportunity. I think Eddie Howe let this one slip. What say you, Sugar Billy? How did you see it tactically?
Definitely, I share the same sentiments. I personally was disappointed by the approach that Newcastle took because I think that the new signing Tonali, Bruno Gimraj, and Joy Linton is a solid midfield trio, and they should have had a more attacking approach, as you said. Especially, I saw Barnes come in last week, and he looked very electrifying, and possibly he could have also started in place of a Garden, but from I saw Garden starting the game, I figured that Eddie Howe was taking a more defensive approach because Garden is not that guy to
Yeah,
really,
his end
yeah,
product is missing.
he's
Garden
a
might
more
be pacey,
conservative
but no
type
end
of
product.
player. So from that, I saw that it was all sit back for Newcastle a bit and watch what City was doing, but they weren't that adventurous as I expected them to be.
That is it, man.
Definitely. I think even after that, watching that Sevilla game in the midweek, I thought they would have taken a few notes from that game and really gone and give City a challenge, but
Of
it wasn't
course.
to be. City ended up dominating. Phil Foden was the creator. He had a very wonderful game as well. I think he's the one that Pep is having in that KDB role now going forward. So I expect more assists coming from Phil Foden, Julian Alvarez, same way too, with to chip in with the goals. So I think integrating both players now along with Jack Grealish. I think Pep is kind of figuring out his strongest 11 going forward. So
Well,
let us
to be
see.
honest, Sugar Billy, in a sense, when I looked at the City bench, the City
Ah,
bench was unrecognizable. I'm
Definitely, there
saying,
were a lot of youngsters
where
there
is
as
the
well.
depth
So
in the City bench? You know,
there,
definitely, one statistic is that Pep Guardiola likes to work with small squads. So
right?
I
And
guess
notice
he
he didn't
has
even
faith
make
in
a
his
change in that
youth.
game as well.
Yes, definitely, and I think he made the least amount of changes last season. Going into each game. So I guess he's used to that. And once again, he's a type of manager where we see not any youngster that comes in, they are kind of, let us say, sheltered in a sense where they fit into the system perfectly and they do their job nonetheless. So let us see what these youths have to offer. I've been very impressed with Cole Palmer earlier in the season, so he's one to watch out for, I think, definitely.
Yes, I mean, yeah, Pep made zero changes in that game, but to be honest, when I looked at the bench, I'm not sure who he could have brought in to really influence the game. What say you, Sir Cole?
yeah. The bench was almost, some names you really don't know. It's like a first form class register, Um,
Fresh
yeah,
faces, fresh names.
fresh names. I really couldn't pick out anybody. I just said to have, have note to really to come in and to really
Right.
influence or you have to maintain the same level that the
Yeah, I
team
think
was
City
at.
definitely need to dive into the transfer market, to be honest, and bring in some attacking reinforcement. Bernardo Silva is out, either injured or sick. KDB is out as well, and you know injuries can derail a team's push for a title. So before this transfer window closes, I'm expecting City to make a few signings, especially in the attacking third of the field, just to compensate for those players which have been lost to transfer, the likes of Mahrez, the likes of Laporte is now gone as well, and of course compensating for that KDB injury also. Gundogan replacement, somebody who is more of a box-to-box type midfielder, could possibly, slot in. I'm hearing they are linked closer with Paqueta, dear Sugar Belly, that playmaker from West Ham. But I hear he's enthralled in some sort of Ivan Toney like betting scandal, so to speak.
Yeah, I think the deal is off basically based on these investigations where they said he took a yellow card last year in a game that some account in Brazil made a maximum deposit and collected a lot of money from that. So they are really looking into it to see
Ah,
what happened there.
interesting stuff,
So I
definitely.
heard the deal was off
So
basically.
he's possibly looking at abandon Sugar Belly, as was the punishment for Ivan Toney.
I guess based on the findings, definitely. And we have seen where City are being in talks to sign this youngster from the French league. So let's see what he's about.
Yeah, definitely. City needs some reinforcement, to be honest, because when I looked at that bench, it was void of quality or recognizable names. I'm still wondering what was the purpose, so Cole, of signing that England international, Calvin
Phillips,
Phillips.
Calvin
Yeah,
Phillips.
does he still play for Man City?
He's still on the books as to a matter of playing. I'm really not sure. Has he really ever played?
Well,
Yeah,
he seemed not to ever
probably.
play, but yet he is still selected for England duties. It's almost similar to that of, that centre back there from Manchester United. He's
Yeah,
still on the
which
books
really
over there, right?
baffles me as well.
I tell you. But I mean, what can we expect from this Newcastle team, though, Sugar Belly, going forward? We see that they have failed this acid test. They have Liverpool next. Can they get a victory there? No, this one is taking place at St. James. This park, they're homegrown, so maybe they're on more comfortable, surroundings.
Definitely, and you have said in the past that Liverpool's defense is like a sieve. So let's see if they're willing to exploit that one. Let's
I
see.
believe
Anyhow,
you
will
will
be
see a more
adventurous.
attacking Newcastle in that game, to be honest. And it wouldn't surprise me if they come away with a victory there. But that preview we'll definitely take a look at on Thursday, you know. But Circle City, how do you see City faring out this season? I know it's early days, but from what you've seen thus far, are they still the team to beat for the title?
I really think that they are. Not really trusting in necessarily the players on the pitch, but trusting on the manager to really get it right. Many times, we really have to have some faith in the manager. We have seen where they have won the league without an established number nine. We have seen where they have used makeshift players. For example, when they put who was it, Delft at left back after the previous left back had gone. So I've learned not to really question Pep. We may not really see the names as household names, but I'm sure when they come in, they will fill a gap and get the job done. So for me, it is still Man City.
Still Man City. Got you. Well, definitely. I mean, it's two games, two wins. You know, they're already setting the pace. You know, it's down to who can keep up. We see Arsenal also going 2 from 2 as well. So Arsenal definitely seem to be looking to rise to the occasion and put in a proper challenge this time around. But viewers and subscribers, there you have it. Any final thoughts, dear Sugar Belly, before we wrap things up?
Yes, I think it will be very interesting to see how Pep copes with this thin squad this season. As we said, the names are not too big, so let's see how big the quality is there.
Well, I'm definitely sensing a chink in the armor, to be honest, Sugar Belly, which is why I'm still surprised that Newcastle really didn't go for the juggernaut. I believe City is vulnerable at this stage, and another big injury to a key player may very well derail their season. But we'll see how it plays out. But Sir Cole, any final thoughts?
Well, we can appreciate that big names isn't really the solution many times. We can look now at Chelsea and see Exhibit A, right? So having big names and big stylings doesn't really prove anything. It just means that you have some money to spend. So if Pep has seen that, if he's okay with his squad, then I have no reason many miles away to say otherwise. If he's okay with it, then it must be good enough in his opinion. He's there every day, so he should know.
Well, there you have it, viewers and subscribers. I'd just like to thank you again for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Please continue to share, subscribe, and like the podcast. Help us to grow the channel and help us to move from strength to strength. I just like to extend my thanks to Sugar Belly for coming through and sharing his thoughts. My thanks also extends to Circle, for coming on board and giving of his opinions, some controversial thoughts at times there, but it's good to have different perspectives on, what is happening in the EPL. But the matches, viewers and subscribers, are coming thick and fast. And this weekend, we have more matches coming up, big games with big implications. And on Thursday, we will do a deep dive into previewing 2 of these games. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.